The endowment effect is a cognitive bias in which people place a higher value on objects they own compared to identical objects they do not own. This means that individuals often demand more money to sell an item they possess than they would be willing to pay to acquire the same item. The endowment effect is an example of how ownership influences perception, leading people to overestimate the worth of their possessions. This bias affects decision-making in various areas, including economics, consumer behaviour, and negotiations. Now let's explore the origin of the endowment effect. The endowment effect was first identified by economist Richard Thaler, who studied how ownership impacts a person's willingness to trade or sell objects. His research was influenced by behavioural economics, which challenges traditional economic theories that assume people always make rational financial decisions. Thaler's studies showed that individuals tend to value losses more than gains, making them reluctant to part with items they already own. This concept is closely related to loss aversion, which suggests that people feel the pain of losing something more intensely than the pleasure of gaining something of equal value. Now let's look at an example of the endowment effect in real life. An example of the endowment effect is when a person receives a free promotional mug and later refuses to sell it for less than a high price, even though they would not have paid the same amount to buy it in the first place. Another example is seen in real estate, where homeowners often overvalue their houses simply because they own them, making it difficult to accept lower offers from buyers. The endowment effect also occurs in sports and entertainment, where season ticket holders may be unwilling to sell their tickets for a reasonable price, even if they do not plan to attend the event. Now let's explore some causes of the endowment effect. One cause of the endowment effect is psychological ownership, where people develop emotional attachments to objects they own, making them more valuable in their minds. Another cause is loss aversion, which makes individuals more sensitive to losing something they possess than to gaining something new. Additionally, familiarity plays a role, as people tend to value items they have used or interacted with more than unfamiliar objects. Some researchers also suggest that the endowment effect is linked to identity, meaning that possessions become part of a person's self-image, making them harder to part with. Now let's examine the effects of the endowment effect on decision-making. The endowment effect can lead to irrational financial decisions, such as refusing to sell assets at a fair price or overpaying for items based on sentimental value rather than actual worth. It also affects consumer behaviour, as people may hold on to outdated or unused items instead of selling or donating them. In business and negotiations, the endowment effect can make people reluctant to compromise, as they overvalue what they already have. Additionally, this bias can contribute to inefficiencies in markets, where goods do not change hands as easily as they would if people evaluated them more objectively. Understanding the endowment effect helps individuals make better financial and personal decisions by recognizing how ownership influences their perception of value.